Howdy, y'all. How you going? We're looking at some crazy cars in Australia, some Reddit/Australia cars, different posts about different vehicles, yada, yada, yada. You know, I love doing Reddit videos about Australian topics. And, well, this one is going to kick off with a bang here. This is really recent news. I think this came out yesterday. This is an ultra rare 1 out of 75 produced McLaren Senna GTR. I mean, this is full-on race car here. And, well, the shame is this thing won't get to see the street, nor is this thing going to see any track time. This thing is going to be in someone's penthouse, just like a piece of furniture. Literally. And this is in Australia. This is in Melbourne. Let's dive into this. So, yeah, you see it's... So you see this alarming, a very expensive, exclusive car being hoisted onto a crane here, and you're thinking, what on earth is going on? Well, this is apparently what happens to McLarens in Australia. No, not all of them, obviously. This is pretty crazy, but this thing is getting craned into the 57th floor, okay, in a penthouse. Remember, 1 of 75 McLaren will serve as a living room ornament for a successful businessman in Melbourne. What on earth is going on here? I'm sure these guys operating this crane have not seen quite a day like this in a long time, I would reckon, right? Hey, can you lift this multi-million-dollar car up to the 57th floor, please? Sir, there's not a garage up there. No, I know. I want it in my living room. So the businessman in question is Adrian Portelli, and he didn't let that hurdle stop him from having a car in your living room. Now, I'm a big car guy. I've been in cars since I was born. I haven't exactly thought, I would like to have one of my cars in my living room. Maybe I'm the odd man out here. I don't know. But having a car in your living room is hard enough. Having a car in your living room when it's on the 57th floor, well, that's just a whole nother thing. I can't imagine how expensive this guy's life is. I mean, supposedly from 9 News here, they claim that this is a $39 million penthouse. That sounds absolutely insane. Although, I don't know. I've seen regular apartments and houses in Melbourne area, you know, on previous videos, and it looks to be pretty expensive around there. So maybe that is realistic. Plus, you know, the cost of this crane, like, did they really set up a crane just for this car? I don't really know. It just seems the whole thing is really weird. But yeah, as we see, a crane was enlisted to carry Portelli's McLaren Senna GTR up to the 57th floor of the Sapphire by the Gardens building. So if anyone's familiar with that area, are you familiar with those buildings? You know, how expensive is it there? I imagine it must be pretty pricey. It's just a race car, so you can't register it on the street, Portelli told. It was just sitting in a factory anyway, so I thought might as well, you know, give it the title it deserves. All right, well, I mean, I'm not sure if they, you know, I'm sure this thing is like hand-built or something, right? I mean, this is an expensive car. A lot of work and research went into the, you know, engineering this thing. I'm not exactly sure that they were thinking, this car with all this engineering and aerodynamics and lightweight materials and stuff would look great in the living room. I'm not sure that was their first thought on, you know, the purpose of the car, but to each their own. The way I see it, if the guy's got the money, he can do what he wants with it. If he bought the car, which of course he did, if you could afford a car like that, I guess you can do whatever you want. Who am I to say? Who is anyone to say, right? But damn, it is just weird to think about a stunning racing machine like that just sitting in a living room for, I guess, its whole life. I mean, this sounds like he is just for good. It's going to sit there. He's not going to use it. It makes me think like, wow, why can't you, if you can't register, if it's not street legal there, couldn't you at least take it to track days? I mean, you're so rich to pull up a crane for this thing. I think you probably rich enough to transport the thing in a truck to any racetrack, quite frankly, you'd like. I mean, there's some good racetracks in Australia. I think we know that by now. Give us some track days, man. The best part is this thing, when we look at this Instagram post linked here, there is Adrian next to his prized McLaren. I mean, look at it. It just looks like straight up race car. I mean, these guys are wheeling it in here. And the craziest part is this apartment or this penthouse is not even near finished yet. I mean, look at it. It's bare concrete, right? They snuck it through this opening, and it's just bare concrete. So this thing is expected to take 12 to 18 months more just to get this whole space finished. And I guess this thing is going to be sitting there in the middle of construction? I'm sorry, it is just such a bizarre story. I don't really understand it. I'm just asking some simple questions here. I'm not bashing the guy. I'm not even like, I don't even know what's going on. It's just so weird to me. And yeah, I thought I'd report it to see what you guys think. I would love to hear what you guys say in the comments. I mean, what a stunning car. And yeah, it's just weird to think that that car was built, engineered, manufactured. You know, the engine, everything was bolted together. It's just a stunning, fast piece of machinery. And when that thing was built in a factory, just to think that, well, the fate of you, you're just going to sit in a living room somewhere. like a couch. If you wanted some stats on it, I mean, this car is McLaren's most powerful car, basically, other than what the F1 team itself puts out. So, you know, it's got a 4-liter twin-turbo V8, 813 horses. You know, you saw the aerodynamics. It's even got a racing livery. I mean, it's a straight-up race car, right? Puts down massive amounts of downforce. You know, the thing costs 3 million Australian dollars, around 2 million US dollars. I mean, this thing is not cheap. And the fact that it's super rare, only 75 examples are built. You know, I guess you can hope if you're someone that, you know, is for taking care of cars, but also for using them a little bit. I mean, you hate to see such an impressive machine just sit still, like a piece of, like an ornament, right? Like a piece of furniture in a house. It's just rather bizarre. It almost hurts a little bit to think about, like, oh, what a waste of like a good car, right? But at the same time, you know, hopefully it's taken care of in there. So maybe 10, 20 years down the road, this thing will be extremely, like, next to nothing miles, example, really low mileage, and maybe it'll be auctioned off or sold someday. So someone can get one of these as like a time capsule, like, oh, you remember the Senna GTR? Well, here's basically a brand new one. It's been inside a living room for 15 years, and it's like new. All right, now we're at Cars Australia. So let's just take a gander here, see what we can find. You might find some interesting vehicles in here, some interesting listings, for like used cars. This is $10K for a 348,000 kilometer 1988 Holden Commodore. They ask, is it worth it? Well, if we zoom in, I mean, what do we got here? It's from Queensland. Look at that cool Holden logo. I mean, this is cool for me to see. Most of you might be laughing like, oh, that's just an old Commodore, big deal. I see those all the time, or I used to have one, whatever. But I do admit, not knowing really anything about the Commodore used car market, this seems a little bit on the high side, if I'm being honest. 10 grand, which would be about, I don't know, 7 or 8 grand US dollars. I don't know, maybe it's about right. Buy it, respray, 15K, Simmons, big single turbo, sell for 100K. That sounds like quite a turnaround. I'm kind of at the weird end here because I'm an American who didn't get to experience these cars, so Australian cars are very fascinating to me. So, I mean, yeah, I would love to have this. Yeah, honestly, it'd be cool, right? But am I willing to fork out 8 grand for it and then ship it over here? Nah, probably not. Now, this is awesome. This is what I like to see. Grandpa's wood collecting ute. Look at this thing. I freaking love it. I love utes. They're so cool. I love it. It's you know what I like? It's faded. It's beat up. It's got character. This thing has some stories. This thing has been put to work, and it's still chugging along. I mean, look at it. How freaking cool is that? Back when utes carried cargo, not fragile egos. That's not a ute. That's a butte. Nice. All right, now I had to feature this one. Like I said, I am no expert on Holdens, especially Commodores. I don't know how the Commodore market is right now, but this seems pretty wild to me. So the caption is thoughts. Is this a good deal? And here is the 2011 Commodore in question. The thing is absolutely battered beyond belief. I would say it's totaled. I would just say it's totaled because most insurance companies, from what I've heard, would definitely look at this and say, that's totaled. They would say it's totaled for far less damage. It looks pretty sinister. And, well, this Holden Commodore could be all yours for 35 grand. I'm serious. But, I mean, let's see what the about page for this vehicle is. It's a manual transmission. Okay, that's cool. It's got 92,000 Ks. It's a 2011 HSV GTS VE E3. Car has been in an accident. You don't say. It has not been marked as written off insurance. Don't know. Okay, so that sentence doesn't... Okay, I see. Hold up. It has not been marked as written off. Insurance, don't know. Okay, gotcha. All right. It's got the 6.2 LS3. All right, that's nice. Dyno tuned, 300 rear kilowatts. And then, yeah, you got a cam, you got gunmetal, blah, blah, blah. Chassis has not been damaged, if that's a concern. I'm not parting the car out. So he's not parting it out. And don't be fooled by the thousands of parts damaged here. The chassis is just fine. Let's dive into the comments here. Chassis has not been damaged. I must be blind. Inspected by the owner himself. I know what I've got. LMAO, yeah, that chassis is 100%. It looks bad because he didn't wash it before the pick. Yeah, you know, that's the number one sin of posting a car, photos of a car. You got to wash it first. That's really what it was, right? I think all the dings, the dents, the totally mangled parts hanging off of the car, honestly, I think it was just because it was dirty. It made it look really bad. Chassis, definitely. They'd be repairing rather than selling otherwise. Bingo. That's exactly what it is. When you see goofy stuff like this, you got to just get down to it. They would be fixing this if this was an awesome car that they loved and that was within reason of fixing. They would not be selling it and attempted to selling a car that is mangled up like this, unrecognizable, for $35,000. I'm sorry, this has got to be one of the funniest posts I've seen in a while, but you know, when you do go on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace, you can really find some gems. I mean, I've seen some real doozies here in the U.S. For funny posts. I think doing some videos on those every once in a while would be quite fun. I hope you're enjoying this. I mean, these crack me up. They really are fun. Here's an interesting car. The post is actually about something else, about how to register it and something else. I'm not going to get into that. I just wanted to feature the car because this is called a Subaru Brumby. I've never heard of that. Now, back in this era, we would have actually had one of the few sort of like car-based ute style, car trucks, like I used to say when I was little about the El Camino. We used to have one of these weird vehicles here in the U.S., very similar. I wonder almost if it's the same vehicle and just renamed over, different countries. We had the Subaru Brat. It was called B-R-A-T, Subaru Brat. And funny name. It actually, in the bed back here, it actually had 2 seats that they would sell you, but you had to install yourself. They wouldn't, they wouldn't actually sell it with those installed because it wasn't legal or something to sell cars with seats, not enclosed in the cab of the car. But it was somehow legal to have seats in the bed in most states or something back then. I don't know. Some weird thing. So, I wonder if the Brumby had that same option. And even if it did not, I wonder if it's the same car. It's pretty interesting seeing it, though. I mean, look at four-wheel drive. Old Subarus are just so interesting. I mean, I love that 80s style. And to end it, we're going to look at this pretty cool repost from Cool Guides, reposted on Cars Australia. It's the mother chart of dashboard lights. Now, this is something I'm very used to, the warm amber glow of warning lights on some of my older trucks and stuff. It's just part of owning an old vehicle, right? You're always going to have, those nice amber lights keeping you company, like the check engine light, the ABS light, stupid stuff like that. But I didn't realize, there's so many lights. A lot of them, thankfully, you don't see, right? You don't want to see all of these all the time. And what's funny is most of these should be pretty universal. So yeah, I'm not going to go through every one of these, but I thought this was kind of cool. Check this out on Cool Guides if you want to go see it more depth, or, if you could read this on your screen, you can pause the video here and look at them. And this is a better quality version. I noticed that one was pretty grainy. Here is what you want to see right here. I will zoom in on this for you in editing, and you can pause this. This should be pretty decent quality. Alrighty, well, that's going to do it for this one. I hope you enjoyed that bit of interesting car posts, car news, especially Cars Australia type content. I absolutely love covering anything when it comes to vehicles down under. I think it's always really interesting. And what did you think of that McLaren in the 57th floor or whatever it was? And some of those funny posts, I want to find more of those and do more videos like that. So tell me if that's something you would be interested in. Anywho, I hope you did enjoy this. Please throw a like on there if you did, and subscribe to be part of this amazing community. My name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker, and until next time, y'all, I'll catch you later.